on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Chicago Stadium at its noisiest during the national anthem in preparation for Game 2. Harry Fraser will referee. The linesmen remain the same. Swede Knox and Randy Mitten. Bill McCreary is the backup. Bill Ranford did not practice yesterday. Assistant coach Ron Lowe sarcastically commented he didn't require any more work on 2-on-0 break-ins. Ed Balfour didn't practice yesterday either, but for the Blackhawks, it was an optional workout. Balfour has a 9-1 postseason record. He has a goals against average of 2.28, tops in the National Hockey League postseason. Kevin Lowe races after it. Dirk Graham in quickly on top of him, and it's an icing call. Graham tried to race in to take the icing off, but Lowe beat him to the puck.
No, that was a bit of a gamble right off the bat by the Hawks. The Hawk defenseman who got the faceoff back from the center was on the long side of center ice. He dumped it in anyway, hoping that Graham could beat Lowe to the puck. He couldn't, and so they're penalized 200 feet. But forechecking Mike Keenan, it's the most important part of the Chicago Blackhawk offense.
Keenan has made one lineup change for this game. Mike Hudson missed game 1 because of injury. Returns to the lineup. Rob Brown is out. The Edmonton lineup remains the same. Teddy Green had an interesting comment. He said they all deserve to play.
I think he meant that the contribution to the loss was equally spread among 18 skaters. Ranford being the only Oiler who played like an Oiler, plays most often in the playoffs Saturday night. He was left alone to do it.
As he said, you can interpret that comment about all of them deserving to play any way you wish. Whistle on the play on an offside pass. Ted Green, the 52-year-old first-year head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. He doesn't like being referred to as a rookie.
See, on that sheet of paper he's carrying there, it's got in big, bold letters, Roenick. We must control Roenick. It's like taking a train off the tracks. It's free, but where can it go? It's It's easier to write it on your notepad than it is to do it.
Roenick and Steve Larmer caused many of the problems for the Oilers in Game 1. Each had 2 goals and 2 assists. Larmer and Roenick are out there along with Stefan Matteau. This has been Chicago's #1 line. McTavish, Buchberger, and Lamb out for Edmonton. Buchberger will take the face-off, and in this game now Buchberger is being waved out. McTavish goes in. I think we will see some special attention paid to this unit by the Oilers.
Well, Randy Mitten is throwing 2 forwards out, and he's back to McTavish now on this face-off just inside the Oilers blue line.
Steve Smith chases it down in his own zone. He had a strong game in Game 1. Up along the boards for Matteau. Matteau has some problems getting out. The Oilers keep it in. Smith bumps with McTavish. The puck goes loose to Chris Chelios. Larmer throws it rink wide for Matteau. Matteau trying to cut around Muni. Muni takes the puck away from him, gives it to his defensive partner Kevin Lowe, who moves it ahead to McTavish. McTavish dumps it in. Damphousse races in after it, but Belfour was able to play it back of the net. Something the Oilers may do more often in this game is change on the fly. Chelios with a long shot. That goes off the defenseman Muni into the corner. Muni puts it up to center ice. McTavish was cut off by Keith Brown. It slides all the way back into the Hawks zone, and Kravchuk starts away. He had a goal in Game 1 in the 8-2 win. He dumps it in. It's an offside call against Chicago.
Well, Chris Chelios took an elbow right to the mouth. You can see he's bleeding from the mouth. Craig McTavish. Chelios stood up to make the hit. McTavish got his arms and/or his stick up and hit Chelios real early in this game. Chelios finished the shift, but here's the play right here. You can see McTavish. Actually, it was the shoulder. I was wrong. It was the shoulder right in the face. Or was it? No. It was the shoulder first, then it was the glove, stick, and arm, as McTavish was protecting himself from taking a check. I don't think referee Fraser saw it. Chelios is sure to tell him about it.
Chelios got cut quite severely in the first round against St. Louis, but managed to play and played well. As a matter of fact, after the cut, he scored a goal. Russell to Marchment. Richardson gets chase in his own zone. Watched as he goes back to the net, tied up by Hudson. Lemieux trying to get the puck free. He battles with Nichols along the boards. Now Lemieux takes a hit. Lemieux and Mellenby bumping in the corner. Hudson in to help out as well, to the point to Russell. He couldn't keep it in. Marchment fired it up ice, but it was blocked by Mellenby. He goes rink wide behind Klima. And the loose puck picked up by Marchment. He moves it ahead to Lemieux. Lemieux getting set. His shot blocked by Glynn. Loose back of the net. Lemieux can't get out front. Glynn has it. He fires it off the boards and out.
Well, Ted Green's had a line change here. It looks like he's broken up the pipeline. We'll have to wait a few more shifts to see if this is just an early idea or one he'll carry out throughout the game. Well, early in the game, it appears that Ted Green is shaking his lines up a little bit. Tonight, anyway, he's got Nichols off the pipeline, replaced him with Tikkanen, who now plays with Damphousse and Murphy.
And Mike Keenan has also done a little juggling. He has Matteau with Sutter and Graham. Chelios along the boards, bumping with Damphousse. Matteau came in to try and flip it to the corner. Chelios stayed with it and got it back to the net. Manford played it around the board. Matteau steps into his man. Brought out to center ice by McIver. For Damphousse with Manson going for the net. And Belfour sliding out, poked it away from him. Manson was in alone, and Belfort dove out to poke the puck off his stick. Chelios taken in against the boards by McIver. He gets the puck loose, back to the point. Smith shoots. Saved by Ranford, the puck loose in front of him, and it's knocked wide by Larmer. Larmer back to the line for Chelios. He couldn't get set for a shot. Now he lets it go. Right on through traffic, and Ranford has to make another save.
A few too many white shirts standing up. When the puck goes to the point, they're going to get burned if they don't start knocking some of them over.
Again, Belfort came way out of his net to make a play. Here's Larmer with a shot right on. And Kevin Lowe gets the rebound and flips it down the ice. Twice now, Belfort has come out of his net to poke check an Oiler who was in scoring position. Jeremy Roenick brings it in across the line. It's offside with 16:13 left in the opening period.
Well, the top point-getting defenseman on the Oilers, David Manson, jumped into the rush here, took a nice little pass right there, got in alone. Now, Belfort didn't have to make a save as he came out to poke check the puck away from Manson, but Manson was in alone.
Craig Muni tried to play it up along the boards. It's a delayed offside call.
Well, sometimes, you know, when you lose as badly as the Oilers did in Game 1, and the contributors to the loss are spread equally around the lineup, teams with lots of character often win the next game. We've read and we've talked a lot about the Oiler playoff mystique and the great heritage that has been passed down from their 5 cup-winning lineups. And tonight's showtime for the team in blue will show everyone again that that was just one loss, and it isn't going to get into the way of tonight's effort to win.
All the Oiler players expressed confidence that they would bounce back with a much better effort in Game 2. They anticipate going home with a split from the first 2 games of this Campbell Conference Final at Chicago Stadium. Hudson flips it out front. Jocelyn Lemieux couldn't get a shot away as he came driving into the crease. Now Lemieux gets it again. Lemieux feeds the point. Brown gets set. His shot goes wide of the net. And it bounces over top of the goal and is knocked to the line, not out. Hudson keeps it in. Lemieux is knocked down. And finally Glynn gets the puck, fires it to the line, not out. Keith Brown keeps it in, or did he? He may have not been able to keep it in. It's an offside call. Jocelyn Lemieux is banging tonight.
Right. Well, here are 2 statistics that the Chicago Blackhawks can be proud of. Look what happens when they score first, and look what happens when they allow 3 goals or less. And they have, on the average in the playoffs, allowed slightly more than 2 against the game. Lots of whistles early tonight, 7 already. The Hawks have been offside 5 times. A lot more offsides in these small rinks. Buffalo, Boston here, that center zone is a 2-stride center zone to a fast skater, not a 3-stride one.
Penalty coming up, a high sticking call. And the first power play of the hockey game comes with 15:21 remaining in the period. Michel Goulet is going off. So is Joe Murphy.
They both are?
Yeah.
Well, this series will improve like most of them do, and the players will be upset with each other.
Edmonton penalty number 8, Joe Murphy, 2 minutes for interference. Blackhawk penalty number 16, Michelle Goulet, 2 minutes for high sticking at 4:39. Edmonton penalty Murphy, 2 minutes for interference. Blackhawk penalty Goulet, 2 minutes.
Well, I mentioned in the opening, to run a little interference on the forecheckers after the Hawks shoot in is a good idea to give your defenseman an extra second. I think Murphy did it after this shoot in on Goulet. There's the shoot in, and now Murphy tries to hold him up, you see? And he knocks him down or off stride, and Goulet doesn't like it, and he takes a swing at Murphy. So Goulet's retaliation could be smoother, as could Murphy's holdup.
Murphy for interference, Goulet for a high sticking. Coincidental minors. Chelios pokes it to the corner. Muni goes back after it. And another penalty call by referee Kerry Fraser.
Looks like Vincent Domfus is going to get it. Already we're seeing a little bitterness involved that we didn't see a lot of in game one. And the Hawks now have a power play opportunity to go ahead early in the game as Vincent Domfus takes a cross-checking penalty. He's looking at his stick to see if it's broken. That's a tip-off and you deserve the penalty. When it breaks between your hands, you hit the guy pretty hard. And there you can see that the Hawk player trying to go to the net is the guy that Domfus got involved with.
In game one, on the power play, the Blackhawks scored once in 4 attempts. This is the first power play of the hockey game. 15-16 remaining in the opening period. Chelios back at the point. Larmer, he faked the shot. Roenick is standing at the side of the net. Sutter had broken his stick and had to go get a new one. At center ice, Buchberger runs into a hit from Larmer.
Now, who hit who on that one? Was it the intention of Larmer or Buchberger?
Roenick puts it in. Muni in the corner having problems with Sutter. Larmer bumps with McTavish. Larmer tries to get it back to the point. Finally kicks at it. It comes to Chelios. Chelios shoots. Goes off a body just wide. Puck is loose in the Edmonton zone, and finally it's put down the ice.
Well, the 4 little plays the Hawks like on the power play. The point shot with the 3 forwards going to the net. The diagonal pass from the defenseman to Roenick or Larmer. Chelios on the backdoor play when it's been held a long time in one corner. He'll come running in off the point. And the jam play where the Roenick especially and perhaps Larmer will come out to the right of Ranford and try and jam it in from behind the net.
Manson having problems controlling the puck. Hudson goes into the corner with him. Semenoff, however, gets to it and fires it down the ice. With 40 seconds remaining in the penalty to Domfus. Smith shoots it in. Left back of the net for Manson, and he clears.
The Hawks are a very good shoot-in team, as we've mentioned it. But that last shoot-in by Smith was a bad one. Ranford was allowed to come out and get it, pass a hit to his defenseman, and it was ice. Usually the Hawks make it tough for the goalie to gather up those shoot-ins.
Noonan can't control it. Put down the ice by Buchberger, and Keith Brown goes back after it. Effective penalty killing by the Oilers against the first power play of the hockey game for the Hawks, and the shoot-in results in a whistle just as the penalty to Domfus expires.
Well, the Chicago power play has been one area that I know they'd like to improve in. 1 for 4 Saturday, but only 12 for 72 in the playoffs for a 16.7% average. Now, when you win 2 rounds and your power play's not going, it's a real compliment to the rest of your attack. Penalty killing, 4-on-4s, 5-on-5s. Because most of the time, the team that does the job on the power play in the playoffs gets richly rewarded. There's the Larmer hit on Kelly Buchberger. Steve Larmer, that's 2 big hits he's handed out, which he's not known for, but you just can't resist on when that guy comes across the ice looking to see if his skates are tied up.
We've seen a couple of hits where players have cut back into the middle, and have been wide open to big body checks. Keith Brown keeps it in. It comes out front to Graham. A bouncing puck that Graham couldn't control. And Ranford flipped back of the net. Gilbert, Graham, and Roenick, the attacking unit for Chicago, as they try and get the puck out front, and it was knocked away from Roenick and fired down the ice by Baranek. Kravchuk touches it for an icing call with 12:40 remaining in the period. It's still scoreless. Game 2 of the Campbell Conference Final here at Chicago Stadium.
Here's a look at how devastating the Hawks have made the first period for their opponents. The Oilers have tied their opponents in the first period. The Hawks have obliterated theirs in the first period. And come from behind wins against the second best defensive team in the National League is not an easy assignment.
Tikkanen is out with Baranek and Jelena. Puck comes back to Keith Brown. His shot right on. That's the 6th shot of the period for the Blackhawks. The Oilers have managed just one. Belfour plays it around to Kravchuk. He quickly whips it ahead to Peluso. Intercepted by Semenov. Flipped back in. Kravchuk goes along the boards. He can't clear. Manson had the puck. Got it caught up in his equipment as he came skating across the blue line. He couldn't make a play inside the Hawk line. Loose at center ice. Jelena turns and gives it to Semenov. Going in alone. Scores!
Well, a neutral zone turnover by the Hawks, who haven't looked as sharp tonight. And the Oilers, after doing a great job killing a penalty, really score on their first good scoring chance. Manson got in alone but never got a shot. Here the two defensemen stand up thinking Semenov's covered by the winger. He isn't. What a neat little play Semenov makes here. To the backhand and over the glove and pad to put his team in the lead. A nice pass from Jelena. Both Hawk defensemen went to the Semenov, and Peluso, Mike Peluso, let the winger go, and there you can see the first goal's a big one, especially here at the stadium.
Well, Ted Green said that his Oilers would play better in this second game of the Campbell Final, and they have a 1-0 lead in the opening period with 11:42 remaining. They've had a couple of chances. Semenov was in earlier. Manson was in earlier. Both times they were poke-checked by Ed Belfour. That time the Chicago goaltender had no chance as Semenov came in alone. Back along the boards in the Edmonton zone. Smith's shot is blocked and Mellanby is hurt. Scott Mellanby fell in front of that shot from the point by Steve Smith, and he limps off to the Edmonton Oilers bench.
Now here's a shot now. Down Mellanby goes with his feet out, and he took it on one of his two legs. It's nice to see a forward block a shot. There's not a lot of them that volunteer for that job, and here's the reason why. Semenov gets his first goal in this 7th playoff game. And the Oilers need production out of guys like Semenov, Klima, even Tikkanen, who has 5 goals. He's got 3 of them in one game. Mellanby's another guy that they got to get some goals from. You can't depend on one line to score all your goals, because nights like Saturday night when they're shut out, you're in deep trouble.
Semenov from Jelena and Manson, the official on the Edmonton goal at 8:04 of this opening period. Kevin Lowe flips it down the ice. Back after it goes Steve Smith. For Goulet. Goulet puts it out to center ice, and Larmer can't do anywhere with it. Van Foose works his way in, has the puck taken away from him by Roenick, who flips it high back into the Edmonton zone. Cole throws it rink wide for Tikkanen. Tikkanen tried to move it ahead to Dan Foose, and there's a penalty call against the Edmonton Oilers. So the Blackhawks will have their second power play of the hockey game. And once again, Vincent Danfus heads off.
Edmonton penalty number 21 prevents Danfus 2 minutes for interference at 9:14. Edmonton penalty Danfus 2 minutes for interference at 9:14.
Vincent Danfus gets an interference call. That's the second one to the Oilers here in the first half of the first period. They're trying to give their teammates a little more time by interfering with guys without the puck who want to get to your player who has it. Keenan power play 2 for 24 in the last 5 games, and they've won them all.
The Oilers did a good job of killing off the first power play when Danfus was watching from the penalty box. Semenoff, who has scored the game's only goal, is out there along with Tikkanen in a penalty killing role. Larmer goes after the puck in the corner, takes a hit from Muni. It comes loose to Tikkanen, and he banks it off the boards and out. Very quickly fired ahead by Belfour to Larmer. Rink wide pass bounces away from Sutter. Back to the point. Chelios over to Smith. Smith at the side of the net for Larmer. He couldn't get his shot away. Sutter feeds the point. Smith gives it to Roenick. Roenick cross ice to Chelios. Chelios tried to take a shot. It was blocked by Kevin Lowe. He moves it around the boards, but not out. Smith has it. He winds up. Tried to slide it over to Chelios, and it was broken up by the Oilers and fired down the ice.
The Oilers are getting in the passing lanes to stop those cross passes, and they're throwing in bodies in front of point shots. So they're motivated tonight, the Edmonton Oilers are, and it's showing already.
Chelios from the point, keeps it in. Tried to flip it back to the line. It was intercepted. Away comes Lamb. He feeds Manson. Kravchuk got back to knock the puck away from him. Now it's Jocelyn Lemieux flipping it up to center ice. Broken up there by McIver. Back after it goes Goulet. 25 seconds remaining in the penalty to Danfus. Kravchuk leads the attack. Jocelyn Lemieux lets the shoot in, go back to Brown at the line. He tried to set up Goulet. It went off his stick. Richardson plays it high in the glass. Picked off by Lemieux. To Goulet. Back to Lemieux. Lemieux to the point. 3 seconds left in the penalty. Brown's long shot blocked by McTavish as Danfus comes out of the penalty box and starts away with Footberger. Footberger circles at center ice, now comes in across the line. He's tied up as Brown takes the puck to the corner. He's checked by Danfus. Footberger for Nichols, he scores!
Well, Bernie Nichols, who has one of the quickest pair of hands in this league, took the pass on the backhand. A lovely pass. 2 lovely passes, as a matter of fact, on it. Here's the first one by Danfus. And here's the one right here into Nichols. On the backhand, over to the forehand, and as he's going down, up and over a falling Belfour. Now, the scouting report on Belfour is, if you can hesitate for a second, he usually goes down in the upper part of the net's open. Nichols, I'm not sure he thought of all that, but he looked like he did. And the Oilers, 2 goals in their 3 shots on goal here in the first period.
Bernie Nichols was one Oiler who struggled in game 1. He has provided Edmonton with a 2-0 first period lead. Racing after it is Richardson. Nichols back there as well. However, Hudson is able to take the icing call off. Puck flipped down the ice, and Kravchuk goes back after it. 2-0, Edmonton leading. Game 2 of the Campbell Conference Final. Chicago won the opener 8-2. The Oilers have looked to be a much better hockey team in tonight's second game. And their playoff history this year has been to bounce back after having a bad game. They did it against Los Angeles. They did it against Vancouver.
Their history in the 80s has been, don't get discouraged when things don't go just right. A great degree of confidence on this Oiler team, and it seems to be passed down from one team to the next one.
Leteau tried to throw it out front. Graham was going for the net, but Manson did a good job of holding him up. Jelena made that nice play to set up Semenoff. Shoots it in. Balfour had a little problem as he tried to play it off the end boards. He has to hold it for a face-off. 7-18 beginning of the period.
Assisted by number 21, Vince Damphus, and number 16, Kelly Bookberger at 11:30. Edmonton goal scored by Nichols, assisted by Damphus and Bookberger at 11:30.
John, what were the times of those two penalties?
Well, we showed you earlier that the Hawks are 6-0 when they score first. The Oilers not much worse, 6-1 when they score first. So the first goal is a dominating statistic. And here is the second goal. Another look at Nichols' fancy stick handling after two nice passes to beat Balfour.
Nichols from Damphus and Bookberger. Damphus did a fine job of taking the body check to free the puck in the corner, setting up Bookberger, who in turn relayed it to Nichols. Roenick tried to get to that loose puck. It comes to Larmer, but it's offside.
Well, the Hawks have been awfully careless on their entry into the Edmonton line. You have to give the Oilers some credit on this now. Usually that's because the defense pair are standing up in the blue line and both wingers are covered. So you can't hesitate now. And what happens is that you hesitate for a second and the guy who's timing it on the other side goes offside. And here, see the defenseman stand up there? And that's enough to cause the problem to the Hawks. It's hard to do if you don't trust your wingers. And in game one, the wingers were nowhere to be found and the defense looked bad.
The Oilers were working on different breakout patterns to counter the Chicago shoot-ins. And whatever message Ted Green gave to his hockey team yesterday has paid off so far tonight. Stolen by Caruso. His backhander goes wide. Jelena starts away now for Edmonton. Jelena with speed, trying to go around Marchment. Jelena's taken in against the boards, back of the net. Loose puck picked up by Peluso and flipped to center with 6:23 remaining. Semenoff, a long shot. Marchment takes the puck and works his way up to center. He dodges a check from Klima, then is knocked down. Oilers gain control. Big wide pass intercepted by Graham. Moves it over to Steve Smith. Now the Blackhawks are being forced to contend with some Oiler forechecking. Glynn goes back after it, an icing call against Chicago. The Hawks have an 8-4 edge in shots on goal, but the Oilers have the game's only 2 goals.
When you see Peluso and Jocelyn Lemieux out there, you know they're looking for some forechecking body checks. And Mike Peluso fulfills that role right here with a big hit on the Oiler defenseman Craig Muni. And their instructions are get a hit each on the shift. See if we can cause some trouble.
Chelios.
And don't do any unnecessary stick handling. That's the last message we get for you. Go board.
Sutter. Back of the net. Can't move up. Now gets it to Graham. His shot is blocked by Nichols and it deflects up into the crowd.
Dirk Graham, you know, on every team there's one or two underrated players. We talk a lot about Craig McTavish in Game 1. He's one for the Oilers, and you're looking at one right here for the Chicago Blackhawks. He's strong, he's smart, he plays both ends of the rink well, and he came the long route. Drafted by the Vancouver Canucks. Then went as a free agent, played 2 years in the International League. No one owned him. Minnesota picked him up, traded him for Kurt Fraser, and look what he's done since. He won the Selke Trophy last year, and he's the captain of the National League team. This Regina boy has really turned what looked like a career that was going to be short-term into a very productive long-term one.
Russell was calling for the puck at the point, but Larmer couldn't get it to him. Puck loose in the neutral zone. Grimson flips it in. He's out there with Roenick and Larmer. Muni in the corner leaves it for Lowe, and Lowe simply flips it down the ice, and this will produce an icing call against Edmonton with 5:07 remaining in the period. Okay.
Well, when you win games, a lot of the credit has to go to your goaltender and your team defensive play. 16 goals they've given up in this 8-game winning streak. Well, they have no trouble scoring, Chicago, with guys like Roenick and Larmer around. But Belfour and his teammates think defense as often as offense. 43 wins last year, 21 this year. But maybe Belfour is much more rested. As you see, he played 52 games this season versus 74 last season. And he looks as fresh as a daisy out there in this 92 playoff race.
He was the first Blackhawk goalie to win 40 games, and that's quite an achievement when you look at some of the outstanding goaltenders that they have had over the years in Chicago. The first to win 40 in one season.
Well, only two goalies have ever won more than 43. Barry Sawchuk and Bernie Carlin.
Chelios with a shot. It deflects. It comes to the side of the net, and very quickly Ranford slipped it behind the goal. Chelios is on it again. He lets a shot go, and Ranford had to reach behind him to keep it out. And the crowd gathers in front of the Edmonton net. Ranford got a piece of it, then it trickled between his legs, and he very quickly reached back to prevent it from crossing the line.
Well, among the other skills that Bill Ranford has as a goaltender, quickness and the ability to recover are two of his best. And here's a great example of that recovery period. Chelios pinches in his sleep and doesn't mind rushing in from the blue line at any time. And it was on this shot that he came up with the puck, circled around in front, and of course Ranford made the save. Chris Chelios, daring defenseman.
And the penalty against Esa Tikkanen for a holding on the skirmish at the side of the net. So it's the third power play of the hockey game for the Chicago Blackhawks. The Oilers on the first two doing a very good job of killing off penalties to Vincent Damphousse.
Well, you're dancing with bad luck if you keep taking penalties against any team in this league. This is 3 in a row for the Oilers.
Chelios shoots. Ranford got a piece of that one. Roenick along the boards. Having problems with Buchberger. Sutter comes in to help out. It comes over to Chelios, having problems controlling it to Steve Smith. To Roenick. Roenick moves in, takes a shot and hit the post. It looked as though he was trying to set up Steve Larmer coming in from the right side, but it deflected off the leg and then off the post.
Both Larmer and Roenick play the wrong wings. Larmer, a left-handed shot, plays right wing. He does that at normal strength too. And Roenick goes over and plays the left wing, and he's a right-handed shot. So you've got a good angle on these cross-ice passes. And there, Bill Ranford again finds the puck before any hawk stick. Now here's what I'm talking about. You're going to see the puck back to Smith. Now he lobs it over to Roenick. Look, he can shoot it from there, or just lifting up his head without turning it. He can pass it to a guy who's in a similar spot. You can see Larmer, who got in a little too far, couldn't put that drop-to-drop pass behind Ranford.
1:28 remaining in the penalty to Tikkanen. Captain Kevin Lowe goes to the bench for a well-deserved rest. He and Muni have been out there as the #1 penalty killing unit back in the blue line. Now it's Roenick for Sutter. Sutter looking for Larmer. Larmer has to take it back to the line. Over to Roenick. Roenick back to the point. Smith fakes the shot, returns it to Roenick. For Sutter. Back to Smith. Sutter getting set, looking. Chelios sneaking in from the point. There's Smith's shot, and it's blocked. Chelios gets it. He sets up Smith for another shot, fired wide. Smith tried to go right wide for Chelios and put it outside the line. 50 seconds remaining in the penalty. Smith gains the line, slips it ahead to Roenick, back to Smith, over to Chelios. In for Larmer. Oilers doing a good job in keeping the Hawks outside the perimeter. Now they score! Larmer taking the lead from Muller.
32 seconds left in the penalty to Esa Tikkanen, their best penalty killer. Keep that in mind too. And after playing with the puck out near the blue line for about 15 seconds, Smith gets it deep, and they've got the 3-on-2. Now the 2-on-1 they're looking for. You can see the Oilers forward trying to get back, but he can't make it. Vincent Domfus trying to get back to cut off Larmer. And Larmer, who has a nose for the opening, smelled it there and put it in. A patient power play that finally paid off for the Hawks.
So Steve Larmer with his 3rd goal of this series makes it 2-1, and a penalty coming up as Toe gets involved in some pushing and shoving in front of the Edmonton net.
I think the Hawks will get the original penalty. Not sure.
Blackhawk goal on the power play, the 7th of the playoffs.
What other penalties will be handed out by referee Gary Fraser?
Larmer from Roenick and Noonan at 16:35 on the power play.
We're going to have a look at the penalty here now. Number 20, Mike Hudson on the trip down there to the left of your screen in the corner. So the Oilers will get a chance to go on the power play with 3:13 remaining in the first period. Edmonton 2, Chicago 1.
2 minutes for tripping at 16.
Blackhawks with 3 power plays in the opening period. And now the Oilers have their first.
Steve Larmer had 2 goals and 2 assists with 4 points in Game 1. 104 playoff points in his illustrious career.
Chelios and Smith work on the power play for Chicago. They are also out there coming off this penalty as Nichols gets it to Manson. He drives it in. Nichols comes back to the net to Tikkanen, or to the line to Tikkanen. Now to Manson. His shot deflects off the stick and up into the crowd with 1:34 remaining in the penalty to Hudson.
Well, Brent Sutter, one of the well-known Sutter brothers. This guy here, I think, may be the best of the Sutter brothers as far as talent's concerned, and maybe the least feisty. He was telling a funny story the other day. He said, as they were playing pool in the Chicago dressing room, he said, we used to play pool all the time in Viking. And eventually somebody'd win, and eventually a fight would start, and our mom and dad would take the pool cues away from us, whatever was left of them.
Well, he still has a brother to play with in the Chicago organization. Darryl is an assistant coach with the Blackhawks. There's a lot of speculation about his future. Shot right on. Belfour had problems controlling the puck, and fortunately for the Chicago goaltender, a teammate was there to clear it. Tikkanen, pressured by Larmer. Puck moves ahead to Nichols. Nichols for Murphy, for Damphus. Damphus off the boards for Manson. Manson runs into a check, and the Blackhawks start away 2-on-1. Noonan across for Chelios, and Chelios was upset and went sliding into the net. Fans react thinking there should have been a penalty call, but there was no whistle. Now there's going to be a penalty against the Chicago Blackhawks. That may be Chelios getting the call behind the play.
Well, tomorrow evening at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, it's Game 2 of the Wales Conference Championship. The Pens won in overtime last night. The Bruins and Penguins again at 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time from the Igloo. And coming up in our first intermission this evening, I'll be joined for thoughts on that game and the one here at the stadium tonight by Don Cherry in the Coach's Corner.
Well, Bernie Nichols, who didn't have a great defensive game in Game 1, fought hard to catch Chris Chelios on the back check on a 2-on-1. Chelios upset that he was tripped and didn't score, comes running back and cross-checks Tikkanen. And that discipline or lack of it shown by Chelios was something that the Hawks to a man have bragged about. But the switch went in Mr. Chelios' head and he cross-checked him rather unnecessarily. But he's been hit in the mouth. He was tripped on a rush. He thought he was going to score, and he had 180 feet to get back to his own end. That'd make anybody do that.
For 49 seconds, the Oilers will have a two-man advantage, leading by a score of 2-1.
The Oilers gone 0 for 5 on the power play Saturday night in Game 1. And the Oiler power play as well has not been as productive as Ted Green would like it to be.
Operating at 21.9%. Scoring 14 goals and 64 power play opportunities coming into tonight's second game of the Campbell final. 1:59 remaining in the period. Back to Tikkanen. He fakes the shot. Over to Klima. Klima slips it in. Nichols looking. Nichols for Dan Foose out front, and it was intercepted by Larmer and fired the length of the ice.
5 forwards on the ice for the Oilers in this two-man up situation. Tikkanen and Klima playing the point.
Sutter fires it down the ice. 19 seconds remaining in the two-man advantage as Klima starts away. Klima for Nichols. Nichols works to the boards. He's checked. Hawks get control. Can they get it out? Yes. Steve Smith chopped it down the ice, and that kills off the first penalty. 1:08 remaining in the sentence to Chelios. Hudson forcing Tikkanen. Brown at the line. His shot deflected by Hudson just wide. Dirk Graham goes after it in the corner. Back to Brown. His shot saved by Ranford. Hudson in front of the net trying to set up a screen. Tikkanen having problems trying to get out against Graham with 40 seconds left in the penalty. Nichols now leading the attack. He shoots it in, then takes a hit from Kravchuk. Belfour moves it ahead to Mateau. He can't get out. Tikkanen keeps it in. Allenby leaves it there for Baranek. Baranek plays it back to the point. Manson shoots. That's high off the glass. 17 seconds left in the penalty. At the line, the Hawks can't get out. Tikkanen having some problems. He's checked. It comes loose. Here's Rona with Mateau. Mateau going in. Saved by Ranford, and the penalty coming up. A cross-checking call with 2 seconds remaining in the Chelios penalty. Call going against the Edmonton Oilers.
Well, an abysmal power play by the Oilers. 40 seconds with a two-man advantage. And a minute 20, or less than a minute 20 with a one-man advantage. And the Hawks had most of the good scoring chances. There's the cross-checking penalty right there on Scott Mellenby, or the slash, whatever you want to call it. And the Oilers squandered away an opportunity to get that third goal with the two-man advantage. Some excellent work by the Hawks and some not-so-good work by the Edmonton power play.
4.5 seconds remaining in the period. 2 seconds left in the penalty to Chelios. Larmer was out there. He now skates off to the Chicago bench as Mellenby watches from the penalty box.
They put Steve Smith, only 4.5 seconds to go. Sutter's going to try and draw the puck to Krafcheck, who's in the slot. Steve Smith is going to run interference on the inside hash mark to try and make sure that no Oiler gets out. And should the Hawks win the draw? Let's see how this strategy works.
Well, he tried to run interference, but attempted to do it before the puck was dropped.
Well, Smith trying to take, he's facing two Oilers. He's not sure which one is going to come out. More than likely, it'll be the forward, not the defenseman. So Steve Smith trying to be a traffic cop there. And the automobiles paid no attention to the car of the light. And Smith may be getting the only penalty here. It's hard to believe. Let's have a look at it. There's Smith 5. He wants to protect 3 Krafcheck. And he's got 2 guys to worry about coming out. Here they come. And there's Kelly Buchberger on the way to the dressing room. He's going to watch the last 4 seconds on Hockey Night in Canada.
Well, Buchberger goes off, and so does Smith.
2 minutes for upping at 19:55. Edmonton Bentley, Buchberger.
So they'll try this face-off again to the right of goaltender Bill Ranford.
Can you feel a little touch of bitterness developing between these two teams here in the second game of the best-of-7 Campbell Conference Final?
Well, the Oilers know they can play much better than they did on Saturday night. The Blackhawks obviously want to take a 2-0 lead up the Northlands Coliseum. Right now it's 2-1, and Krafcheck can't get a shot on net prior to the horn sounding to end the first period.
Well, the Hawks badly outshot the Oilers 13-5, but the truth is it's Edmonton 2, Chicago 1 as they finish the first period of Game 2 of the best-of-7 Campbell Conference Final. And here are the Oilers filing down the stairs to the dressing room in the bowels of Chicago Stadium.
And the Oilers have to feel better about this period, leading 2-1. Semenoff and Nichols scoring. Larmer for Chicago. At the end of one, it's 2-1 Edmonton.
Oilers over the steps, gang, leading by 1 here. More on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC in a moment.
Conference final with the Oilers leading the Blackhawks 2-1. The Oilers scored the first 2 goals of the game. Semenoff and Nichols, the marksman. Then in the power play, Steve Larmer put the Blackhawks on the board at 16:35. The Hawks with a big edge in shots on goal, 13-5. Coach Mike Keenan had these thoughts about the importance of the game's first goal.
It hasn't proven to be effective or have any influence on our performance to date in the playoffs. We came from behind 3 times in the St. Louis series to win games. We were ahead in many of the Detroit games, so we've been able to work in both circumstances and situations, and I don't think it means a great deal in this particular playoff series.
Let's have a look at the game within a game. The Hawks 6 chances, the Oilers 4. The Oilers didn't have many shots, only 5, but they had 4 good chances. Look at this one. The Hawks shot it in 18 times, recovered 5 of them. But included in those 18, they went offside 6 times. That's an inordinate number, and Chris Chelios again going to play over 30 minutes.
The second period starts with 1:55 remaining in the penalty to Mellenby. So the Blackhawks, trailing by 1, have a chance to get back on even terms on the power play. In Game 1, it was a quick start to the second period and 3 goals within a span of 1 minute and 26 seconds that led to their 8-2 win. Krafcheck drives it in. Off the end boards, Larmer picks it up, back to Chelios, over to the other side. Krafcheck lets a shot go, blocked by Muni, up along the boards, and McTavish ties up Krafcheck, and the puck slides down the ice.
2 veterans, Muni and Lowe, have played a lot of shifts against the Roanoke line, and have started every time the Oilers have been shorthanded to kill the first half of the penalty.
Krafcheck's long shot. Larmer tries to throw it out front. Bounced away from the toe. Krafcheck at the point, gets it to Larmer. Larmer works to the line, leaves it there for Krafcheck. Noonan back to Krafcheck to Noonan. He takes a shot. Save is made by Ranford. Noonan gets it in the corner again. Back to Kravchuk, a one-timer that deflects wide and off the glass. Chelios at the point, unable to keep it in, and Kravchuk has to chase it down with 43 seconds remaining in the penalty.
The Oilers not giving the Hawks much of a chance to set up in the Oilers zone, and that's how they scored the first power play goal of the night.
Marchment lets a shot go wide. Goulet quickly tried to pick it off the end boards and just flipped it wide the other side. Chelios in his own zone with 20 seconds remaining in the penalty. Heads for Roenick. Roenick checked by Murphy, and as Sutter picked it up and brought it in, it was offside with now just 13 seconds remaining in the penalty to Scott Melnick.
Well, the Roenick line has been the one that's caused the biggest problems, of course, for any one of the opponents in the first the playoffs of '92. Here's the rebound off the boards, and Michel Goulet played it pretty well and couldn't quite fool Ranford. The Roenick line, Larmer and Matteau, 11 points in the first game and a period in this series, 36 points in the playoffs, 18 goals and 18 assists, and they have scored 7 Hawk power plays goals. So when you're looking at the Hawks, the Roenick line is the one you want to contend with. Goulet not too happy about the fact he couldn't snap that rebound off the boards in.
Now Goulet familiar with the way the puck bounces off the boards in this building, and he quickly went to that spot on the shoot-in from the point. Intercepted by Manson. Manson knocked down. Roenick has it. Roenick looking for someone to give it to. Back to Marchment. There's his shot. It's blocked as Mellanby comes out of the penalty box. He breaks away. 3-on-2 for Lamb. Lamb overskated it, and quickly Roenick takes it the other way with Larmer. Roenick works his way to the corner. Throws it in front for Marchment. He takes a shot from the short side, and Ranford stood his ground. Ranford collided with Larmer. The two of them went down. A lead pass too far for McTavish. Chelios lifts it up into the center ice area. He missed Hudson. And Ranford was knocked down as Hudson and Peluso were in deep. But there was no penalty call in the play. We'll be right back after this message.
Bill Ranford was knocked down twice in that shift. The first one was a pure accident by Larmer. Was this one by Hudson? Ranford didn't think so. He slapped the stick on the ice, trying to bring attention to referee Kerry Fraser that he didn't appreciate getting clipped. Fraser went back and talked to him.
Brown shot from the point, and Ranford makes the save. Brown has yet to score a goal in the postseason, but he has been a key man as far as assists go, with 8 of them. Loose puck in front. Lemieux tried to backhand it, and it bounces high, and it's held by Ranford. Peluso in the crease with Brian Glenn. The two were pushing and shoving as Ranford reached for the puck.
Well, again, when you get Hudson, Peluso, and Lemieux out there, you know the object for those three is to see how many guys they can knock down and see if they can get a good forechecking shift underway. And they did, and couldn't come up with the puck. I don't think Peluso could quite get his hands on it. Brian Glenn ties him up. You see Ranford with the puck right on his fingertips there to get the whistle. Jocelyn Lemieux with 3 game-winning goals in these playoffs. Sorry, 2 out of the 3 goals he scored have been game-winning goals. And Mike Keane was telling me this morning that he has really done a good job at being on the 3rd or 4th line.
Steve Smith is checked as he tries to throw it out front. He gets it again. A centering attempt is blocked. Murphy got it out to center ice. Murphy hit for Dan Foose. Dan Foose can't get around Matteau. Now Sutter shoots it in. Glenn banks it off the boards and out. 2-1. Edmonton leading Chicago. Game 2 of the Campbell final. 16:33 remaining in the second period. Puck is put back in offside. Dan Foose had taken a hit along the boards and lost his helmet in the process.
He lost his helmet doing a good defensive job, holding up Brent Sutter on the shoot-in, so he gave his teammates a little more time when they got to it. And the Oilers have done this quite a bit better tonight. And right down here in the lower corner, he just runs a little interference on Sutter. And look at the extra time the Oiler defenseman gets. It's only a second, but you ask the defenseman, it's a lifetime when you get the puck.
Craig McTavish was telling me this morning that one of the problems the Oilers encountered in Game 1 was they were getting ahead of the puck and coming out of their own zone.
And then the puck kicked back in by the pinching defenseman, and the next thing you know, there's an odd man. McTavish is going to be a coach someday. He suffers a little bit of a thinking problem. And a good coach, I'll tell you that, too. He could be the guy down the road that's behind this Oiler bench when 10 years from now Ted Green gets sick of it.
Hudson can't control it. Murphy knocks it into the zone. Chelios. Back to Hudson. He can't go anywhere with it. Kevin Lowe puts it back in. He's bumped by Roenick.
Again, Muni and Lowe out there when the Roenick line's out there. That's the matchup I think Green is more determined to get than a specific forward line against this big line for the Hawks.
Hudson in across the line. Larmer goes for the net. He can't get the puck to him. And Larmer, trying to drive for the net, takes it off its supports. Our Stanley Cup coverage continues in a moment. $20,000 spectators at Chicago Stadium. And Harry, you did some interesting research this morning on the amount of bubbly that is consumed by this crowd.
The hockey fans drink about 320 kegs of beer a night. That's 140,000 glasses. So, folks, you're looking at the biggest sports bar in the United States. They evidently drink 2.5 times as much, the hockey fans do, as the Chicago Bull fans do. So this is a big-time party in the seats. Not quite so enjoyable on the end.
Well, it was a big-time party Saturday night in an 8-2 win. When you look at the revenue that is generated in owning your concessions, little wonder other owners in the NHL want to emulate Bill Wirtz and own their own building, concessions, parking rights, etc. Craig McTavish hit along the boards. He's down and very slow and getting up. And now a skirmish at the bench as McTavish was going off and exchanged words with a Chicago player.
Well, Jocelyn Lemieux, who was the player McTavish collided with originally, took a shot at McTavish as he was going to his bench, and Lemieux coming to the Hawk bench. I don't know how much of this Kerry Fraser saw, but the secondary part of it was started by Jocelyn Lemieux. And McTavish became a willing combatant as soon as he was hit. But it'll be interesting to see the penalties. Here's how it first happened. McTavish tries to take Lemieux out. Lemieux comes back with the hand and cuffs him right in the head. Now, Fraser saw that, but didn't call a penalty. Now, McTavish gets up trying to get to the bench. And look what he sees coming. And Lemieux, he takes a run at McTavish, and then we have McIver coming in quickly. And McTavish recovering from his slight injury to get involved.
14:54 remains in the second. Fraser was standing right there. I know. Maybe he felt that McTavish ran at him.
Yeah, and so he just let it go. And that always happens.
Edmonton penalty number 14, Craig McTavish, 2 minutes for roughing. Blackhawk penalty number 26, Jocelyn Lemieux, 2 minutes for roughing at 5:06. Edmonton penalty McTavish, 2 minutes roughing.
Kerry Fraser gives out double penalties there, coincidental ones, one to McTavish and one to Lemieux, both for roughing at 5:06. And I'm sure Kerry's well aware that tempers are getting shorter as the game gets longer.
Puck comes back to Brown, his shot right on. From the other point, Kravchuk races in. He fires it wide. Goulet for Gert Graham. Puck comes back to the net, and the Edmonton goal is knocked loose, resulting in another face-off. The way this game is going, it's going to be a long one tonight, Harry. A lot of whistles, a lot of stoppages in play.
And the Edmonton Oilers, who have not been too proud of the way they've played on the road lately. 16 goals in those 3 straight losses. The last one to Vancouver. Or the last 2 to Vancouver and the first one here. They're being badly outshot 20-5, but they're ahead on the board 2-1 with 14:39 to go in the second period.
29 whistles in the first period, 8 so far in the second. And at Chicago Stadium with last change, Mike Keenan is always slow in making those changes. So as a result, Chicago led the league this year in length of games. 2 hours and 44 minutes it took to complete a game here at Chicago Stadium on average. Sutter and Goulet with Buchberger battle in the corner. Glynn comes in. And the puck winds up under Buchberger. Jelena comes in and pushes Sutter. And we're going to have a penalty assessed against Martin Jelena, I believe.
You know, the referee should really blow the whistle faster when the puck's in and under someone who's fallen to the ice. I know he wants to keep the game rolling, but this little skirmish wouldn't have occurred if Kerry Fraser had blown it a little earlier.
Wynn doesn't want to get involved.
Oh. He got that one.
Edmonton penalty, number 20, Martin Jelena. 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct at 5:39. Edmonton penalty, Jelena. 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct at 5:39.
Well, Keenan trying to talk his team in to keep going, keep the domination on the shot clock, and it'll pay off for us. Jelena gets an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. 5:39 into the second period. So the Oilers will be shorthanded again. 2 of those 7 shots have been pretty good scoring opportunities. How long can you avoid trouble? Keep allowing the other team to outshoot you 4-1.
Sutter will take the face-off against Lamb. Muni and Lowe, Lamb and Tikkanen, the penalty killers. Sutter with Roenick and Larmer up front. Chelios and Smith back at the blue line. Smith gets the puck. Larmer fakes the shot. Gives it to Roenick. Back to Steve Smith. Over to Chelios. Back to Smith. Into Roenick. Sutter's in front of the net. Smith will let the shot go wide. Roenick. Smith at the point. Back to Roenick. To Smith. Over to Chelios. Smith takes the shot. Chelios back to Smith. Over to Roenick. He lets it go wide. And the ricochets off the boards and down the ice.
With a bad angle shot that misses the net on the far side, the offside point man, in this case Chelios, has got to get to the boards in a hurry or it's down the ice like at the end.
Chelios shoots it in. Ranford missed it back of the net. Larmer has it. Off the boards for Roenick. He quickly whips it back to Smith. Smith has to shoot it in to Noonan, who is out there now. Roenick back to Noonan. He couldn't control it. Murphy got it to center ice, then is checked by Noonan. 50 seconds remaining in the Jelena penalty. Pass intercepted by Dan Foose, and he backhands it into the Chicago zone. Chelios being pressured by Buchberger. Now gets it ahead to Matteau. Rink wide for Goulet, offside.
Well, Steve Smith, one of the stalwart Hawk defensemen, paid a huge compliment recently to former Oiler teammate Lee Fogelin. He was saying after he was badly beaten on a one-on-one rush by Mike Gartner, Lee told Steve You're going to learn something new in this game until the last day you play. Don't try and fight it. Learn what you can when you can. And Steve has been a pretty good student, I would say. Lee Fogelin, one of the all-time excellent Oiler defensemen.
And of course, the other day in one of the Chicago papers, they were writing about his gaffe in the 1986 playoffs against Calgary and how he has bounced back to become one of the premier defensemen this year with the Chicago Blackhawks. He, of course, traded for Dave Manson early in the year.
Well, a lot of trades in this league hurt both teams, but that one really did help both teams and both players, as both Smith and Manson have really flourished with their new teams.
Mike Keenan has been saying that Smith has been one of his best performers throughout the playoffs. Keith Brown has it back at the point. Over to Kravchuk. A shot deflects. Sutter was in front of the net, but it went up high in the glass. Kravchuk again. What a glove save by Billy Ranford.
Well, we've talked lots of time about the quickness of Ranford's left hand. And Kravchuk let a booming shot go from the point. The Hawks love to shoot from the point on the power play. Ranford, with some traffic in front of him, actually caught this puck behind him. Have a look at it now. This is what Ranford, he's trying to make sure he can see it. You can see that hand's almost behind his body when he catches it. Well out of the net to cut the angle down. Willing to bet if he was back on the goal line, this puck might have well been in the net. But he had to move about half as far to get it because he had the angle cut down.
Assistant coach Ron Lowe is saying he has never seen a goaltender play better in an 8-2 loss than Bill Ranford did on Saturday night. Probably an advantage having one of the assistant coaches a former goaltender. He can communicate with the goaltender.
Right, Ron Lowe's done a great job with Ranford. A lot of coaches couldn't score goals and have never played goalie. So their advice to a goaltender is one from the outside. Lowe gives to Ranford from the inside, which is, I think, more easily appreciated.
Here comes Hudson. That's fired wide. Brown keeps it in. He lets the shot go. It goes off the skate. Caruso in the corner. Takes a bump. And a whistle on the play, and another penalty coming up.
Pretty tough to determine who got this penalty.
12:06 remains in the second. Sorry, Harry.
Who got it?
I'm not sure.
Well, the Oilers got it.
Yeah, I think so.
Jelena broke a stick. What the hell is this?
Darren Bank. Yeah.
Edmonton penalty number 20 on Jelena. 2 minutes for cross-checking at 7:50.
Well, before we left you, we told you there's a penalty. It goes to the Oilers' Martin Jelena for cross-checking. He broke the stick between his hands, which is always, as I mentioned earlier, terrible evidence of a cross-check. And so the Oilers will kill another penalty off.
You get the feeling, Harry, that the Oilers are beginning to dodge a few bullets with the penalties coming up?
Well, there was the cross-check right in front of the net. There's no question about whether it was one or not. And they are flirting with danger, taking so many penalties.
Chelios over to Smith. Smith moving in. He shoots. Save. Loose puck in front of the net. Larmer couldn't get his stick on it. Chelios keeps it in for Larmer. Larmer over to Roman. Ranford got a piece of that one. Semenoff clears the zone. Takes a hit from Larmer in the process. 24-5, the shots on goal. The Oilers have yet to register a second period shot. Back to the line. Chelios lets it go. A weak shot. And as it bounced, it was grabbed by Bill Ranford.
Well, Bill Ranford is the best penalty killer on the ice, as the goaltender often is. Ted Green throwing his hands up, saying, how many of these things do we have to kill in one night? It's a great moral boost when you do it. But not only does it take out of your lineup some of your better players because you have to play them so much, but a lot of players don't play for long stretches. This is 2 penalties in 4 minutes and 15 seconds by the time it's over, both to Jelena. So guys sit on the bench, get cooled out, and take a little time to get going.
Well, Ranford in the series against Los Angeles and in the series against Vancouver won games by himself. The way he's playing tonight, he can do the same against the Chicago Blackhawks.
Well, the Oilers are killing off their 6th penalty. The Hawks have had to kill off but 2.
What a change that is for a team that was the second most penalized in the NHL this year. Discipline has been a key for the Blackhawks in the postseason. They learned their lesson last year in first round elimination at the hands of Minnesota, where the North Stars cashed in on the power play. Hawks on the power play with Steve Smith making the shot for Roenick. Roenick tried to go cross ice to Larmer, and it was intercepted. Read well by Kevin Lowe. 46 seconds remaining in the penalty. Mateau works his way to the corner. Richardson fell. Mateau still has it for Noonan. Noonan back to Mateau. Mateau to the point to Smith. Smith takes a shot that bounces off Murphy. Brought out by the Oilers. Richardson gets to the line. Tried to leave it there for Dan Foose. Dan Foose was checked. Murphy broke it up at center ice. Now Smith gets control with 15 seconds remaining. Forced back by Dan Foose. Lead pass intended for Goulet. It slid to the net. Fired down the ice by Ranford. Dan Foose with a shot. And that's the first on net for the Oilers in the second period. The penalty is over as Chelios works his way in across the line. Manson takes him in against the boards. Manson, a strong defenseman. Very tough to work against. And a penalty coming up with 9:55 remaining in the period. Chris Chelios going off, so the Oilers will have a power play.
Blackhawk penalty number 7, Chris Chelios, 2 minutes for elbowing at 10:05. Blackhawk penalty Chelios, 2 minutes for an elbow at 10:05.
Chris Chelios, who was going to be checked by an Oiler, put his elbow right down the throat of the Oiler checker, right in front of Kerry Fraser. It's going to come up here. See, he's wrapped against the boards pretty nicely there by David Manson. And when Jelena comes in to hit him, you can see the first thing to touch. Here are the penalty numbers during the season. Look at those Hawks with all those penalties and how few they've got during the playoffs. An amazing turnaround for players who accumulated that many during the season to have that few during the playoffs.
Kravchuk skates his way out. He finds some room in across the line, but Graham was ahead of the play.
Well, the best defensive tactic that the Oilers have had tonight is that blue line, their own blue line. That must be the 9th or 10th offside, and it stops good rushes. It's as good as a body check. It's as good as a pass interception. And it is not something, as I mentioned earlier, caused just by only careless play by the Hawks on the rush. Because the Oiler defense standing up at the blue line, forcing the Hawk rushers to veer a little bit, and as a result, throw their teammate offside.
Only shot the Oilers have had in the second period by Vincent Dan Foose while killing a penalty. Mellenby works to the corner. Plays it around the boards to the other side, looking for Nichols, picked up by Klima. Over to Manson to Tikkanen. He chops it to the corner to Mellenby. He gets it to Klima. Back to the line. Tikkanen can't keep it onside and wins the race to the puck ahead of Dirk Graham. Mellenby shoots it in. He's tied up by Brown as he tried to race in after it. Now it's brought out by Noonan, and Manson has to go back after. We complimented the Oilers on their penalty killing earlier. Right now the Hawks are doing a pretty good job of spoiling the Oilers as they try and set up with the man advantage. Here's a chance for Nichols. Now Mellanby gets it, couldn't get a shot away. Larmer in with Noonan. Larmer trying to go around Keegan and gets it again, and the pad save by Bill Ranford.
That was a great stop. Not as flashy as some of Ranford's, but equally efficient.
Hansen puts on the brakes, gets it to the corner. Semenoff tried to kick it free. It comes loose and is fired wide by Danforth. Hansen at the point. 13 seconds remaining in the penalty. Semenoff to the line to Glynn. His shot goes wide. Toe takes a big hit from Manson as he tried to clear. The puck slides to the net, and it's held by goaltender Ed Balfour. Manson really flattened the toe as he was attempting to clear the zone.
David Manson, who has been almost under total control physically here, decides to pinch. Now, he played for Chicago, and they love their defensemen to pinch. And Matt Toll, who was concentrating on the puck, felt all of Manson. Larmer coming in, he loves to dip from the outside to the inside. Teagan had played him perfectly, but then Larmer gets the shot. And a tough one for goaltender Ranford to handle. There's Teagan, great athletic ability. Now, if he can't get up in a hurry, that's a breakaway for Dirk Graham. And we all know what a fine athlete that's a Teagan is. I don't know whether he practices getting up from falling down, but if he does, that was a good investment of time.
Power play has ended, and the Oilers did not register a single shot while they held the man advantage. 26-6, the shots on goal in this hockey game thus far. 13-1 for Chicago in the second period. But despite that disparity, it's 2-1 Edmonton. Roenick starts away. His pass was behind Kravchuk. Roenick goes over to pick it up and takes a hit from Jelena. Chelios for Goulet. Into Larmer. Goulet is knocked down. Penalty coming up. Wraparound attempt and the save is made. Goulet may have been cut, and if that's the case, it could be 5.
Craig Muni hit him in the face with a stick. Fraser going over to check and see if he's cut. We'll know when we come back whether it's 2-4 or a game. Two minutes.
Isn't cut.
Edmonton penalty number 28, Craig Muni, 2 minutes for slashing at 12:34.
Well, you can see by the right eye of Michel Goulet, no blood. 2-minute penalty, and here it is right here. Oh, those high hooks. I'm absolutely convinced that a lot of the high-sticking penalties that have occurred this year come as a result of players trying to hook their opponent above the chest, either under the arm or around the upper arm, and it slides off their arm right up into their face. Until they stop that practice, they're not going to cut down on the number of high sticks, and Mooney was lucky there, but Goulet wasn't cut.
Jeremy Roenick took a run at Kevin Lowe, and that resulted in reaction from the capacity crowd at Chicago Stadium. Veteran Kevin Lowe is still playing with a damaged shoulder. Requires treatment before each game. Kravchuk quickly over to Brown. Brown shoots and it goes off Kevin Lowe and deflects to the corner where Craig McTavish picks it up and brings it out to center. McTavish with a big shorthanded goal against Vancouver in the decisive 6th game. Circles to get away from a check, goes for the goal, and is stopped by Ranford.
McTavish, a deceivingly good stick handler.
I believe I said Ranford when I should have said Balfour, of course. Although Ranford has been busy enough to be at both ends of the rink tonight.
28 shots, about 15 of them have been tough ones. And we've only got one by.
53 seconds remaining in the penalty to Craig Muni. Smith has it at the line. Smith lets the shot go. It bounces high and was knocked up to the blue line. Norm McIver in front of the net. Picked that puck up out of the air and deflected it up to the blue line, and now Tikkanen shoots at the length of the ice.
One stat that the Oilers are dominating the Hawks in is fight for loose pucks. That's one that is tough to keep. But how many times have we seen the Oilers come up with a puck, especially in their zone, after it has gone free and it's anybody's puck? And, that is a sure sign that your team is determined. And they were on the wrong end of that stat Saturday night. But that probably is the reason why the score is 2-1. Here's Chelios. 86 points. It was 115 career playoff games, 246 penalty minutes, but only 16 in these 92 playoffs.
He is the most experienced playoff performer of the Hawks. Kevin Lowe with 167 games, and Craig McTavish of the Oilers with 138, are the only who have played more in this game. The shot from the point by Smith bounces high, and whistle on the play, penalty call.
I think Hudson, number 20 for the Hawks, is going to get 2 for interference. Another sign that the Oilers are ready to play here, at least defensively when they don't have the puck, are the number of times they block shots. Ryan Glynn, a great shot block there.
Blackhawk penalty number 20, Mike Hudson. 2 minutes for goaltender interference at 14:28.
You think there's anything
Hudson, 2 minutes for goaltender interference
the guys are wearing with the padding that might slip up?
Well, Mike Hudson, who was in the lineup for the first time in this series, missed game 1 with a groin injury. When the puck went to the point, Hudson in front of the net, right there, right here, bumps Bill Ranford. Rather harmlessly, but in the opinion of Mr. Fraser, that was interference. And you saw just at the start of that replay, that great shot block by Brian Glynn on the point shot that Hudson was waiting for.
That's something the Oilers do as well as any team in the league, is drop in front of shots.
Hard to find forwards that volunteer for it, and the Oilers have a few.
Murphy, and across the line, Edmonton on the power play. Smith is checked, fighting to try and get it back. It's knocked away, and Sutter fires it down the ice.
This is one of the few times at the pipeline Nichols, Gomfries, and Murphy have played together in this game.
Murphy has problems controlling. 118 remaining in the penalty. 4:49 left in the second period. All the scoring in the game taking place in the opening 20 minutes. Larmer quickly threw it in front. Noonan was in too deep. Larmer takes it back of the net. He's checked, continues to battle. He frees it for Steve Smith, who gives it back to Larmer, and Larmer takes a hit from Dave Manson. Manson really thought he had him lined up, but at the last moment, Larmer saw him and didn't cut into the middle, as Manson may have anticipated he would.
Well, we all know Larmer. He's one of those hockey players that has those antennas out. He feels guys coming, and you'll very rarely get out a whole chunk of him.
You don't play 800 consecutive games without being aware of where people are at various times.
And the real amazing part about that stat, Don, is that he's a big-time goal scorer, so he gets lots of physical attention.
And he plays a physical game himself. Kravchuk flips it in off the glass. And the Hawks continue their successful penalty killing as Hudson is getting ready to step on the ice, and the Hawks are back at full strength. Belfour got tangled up in the corner with Klima. Now Hudson skates away, trying to go around Muni. Hudson is knocked down. The loose puck picked up by the Oilers, and Mellenby banks it off the boards enough.
What a burst of speed that Hudson showed him.
Now it's Goulet trying to get around Muni. Kick free to Roenick. Roenick bumped by Nichols. Mellenby knocked off the puck by a pinching Steve Smith. It comes to the other side, and Chelios pinches in for Roenick. Both Chicago defensemen are not reluctant to move in from the point. Goulet fired it wide. Smith coming in from the point, looking for someone to give it to, goes to Goulet. Goulet back of the net. He leaves it there for Roenick. Roenick checked by Lowe. Dirk Graham comes in. Muni in there as well, and finally it winds up underneath the players and results in a whistle with 2:22 remaining in the second, with the Blackhawks, after killing a penalty, applying all sorts of pressure. 2-1, Edmonton leads.
When Wally and Joe Roenick, Jeremy's mom and dad, aren't cheering for the Hawks, they cheer for Boston. They live in Massachusetts, and we'll tune in tomorrow night to see the Bruins and the Penguins at 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Game 2 of the Wales final, and we'll have their ears and eyes peeled for Jeremy when he guests with me in our second intermission at the stadium tonight.
Well, I mentioned the rush by Mike Hudson. Here it is here. Boy, great acceleration as he blows by teammates and enemies and can't quite get the corner on the Oiler defenseman, Craig Muni. And here's a long stretch of puck control by the Hawks in the Oiler zone. A pretty good example of good defensive zone coverage. You see the three Oilers, one forward and two defensemen, all have their man. They're either sitting on him or they're underneath hanging on to him. But a great example of Oilers playing well without the puck in their own zone. And they've had good practice at that so far tonight. The shot's 15-2 in the second period.
Smith with a shot, and that is up high on Ranford. Dirk Graham, the captain, leaves it for Matteau. Back of the net for Sutter. McTavish is all over him. Now Graham gets it. Chelios racing in from the point. He didn't get it, but Matteau almost did. Now Matteau loses it in the corner. Richardson spun around by Sutter. Richardson comes up with the puck. Quite content simply to play it up high off the glass and out. Now it's stolen. McTavish had to wait because Buchberger was in deep. Roenick takes it away from Richardson. Roenick with a nifty move, trying to spin around and feed the point, but Buchberger intercepted. Kuyver touches it for an icing call with 1:22 remaining. Jeremy Roenick guesting with Ron McLean during the intermission. Ted Green, in talking about Jeremy Roenick the other day, paid him the supreme compliment, I suppose, when he said, "What do you expect from a young man from Boston? He's got to be a good hockey player."
Well, this guy has really come alive as a superior player in this league. And he's one of the guys that people pay to see play, not only here in Chicago, but when he goes on the road with his Chicago Blackhawks. Quickly becoming one of the most dangerous one-on-one rushers in the league. Mike Keenan. He's going to have a tough time convincing his team if they keep playing this way, they'll be rewarded. When the players wonder how many shots they have to get and chances they have to get a goal.
Murphy working in against Brown, drops it off for Danfus. Danfus looking for Tegan in the trailer on the play, and it was intercepted and cleared.
1 minute to play in the period.
We're into the final minute of the period. Greg Gilbert, who has seen very little ice time tonight, moves it out to center ice. Gets the puck back, can't go anywhere with it as Tikkanen shoots it in and then goes to the bench in the change. Brown for Noonan. Left it there for Brown. Brown can't play it out. Semenoff with a long shot right on. Kravchuk with 30 seconds left. Works his way out on the right side. A pass too far for Noonan. Kevin Lowe puts it back up. A race for the puck. Klima going after it. Oh, with Belfour down. He fired it wide. Klima turned on the Jets and beat Keith Brown to the puck. Now Graham with a shot. And the save is made by Ranford. In the dying seconds, opportunities at both ends of the ice. First Klima and then Dirk Graham. 9.1 seconds remain.
Well, Peter Klima, who has got great speed, and it becomes even greater when he gets a little daylight and a chance to score. And Keith Brown can motor, I'll tell you that, and he got just enough perhaps. And Balfour with the stretch. Klima's trying to score from nearly an impossible angle. And then right back this end, Dirk Graham is all tied up, but still gets a shot away as Muni hauls him down, but not before a strong guy in a stick, Graham gets a chance to score. Number one star of this game, without a question, is Bill Ranford in goal for the Oilers.
He has faced 31 shots. Only 8 have been directed at Ed Balfour.
Peter Klima only has 1 goal. He's one of about 4 Oilers who have to start producing if the Oilers want to play in the next 2 rounds.
Puck knocked out of the zone. And Steve Smith goes back after it, and that will do it. Well, the Chicago Blackhawks dominated the second as they did the first, but they still trail.
Well, I don't know what they can say to their players. They've done just about everything you can ask. They've had lots of shots. They've worked hard, but they can't beat Bill Ranford. And the Oilers are 20 minutes away from stealing a game from the Hawks.
18-3, the advantage in shots on goal in the second period for the Chicago Blackhawks. But Bill Ranford kicked the ball out, and after 40 minutes of play, it's Edmonton 2, Chicago 1.
Chicago Stadium, the Oilers leading the Hawks by a count of 2-1 at the end of 2 periods of play, despite the fact Chicago has pelted Bill Ranford with 31 shots in the game thus far. Jeremy Roenick joins me. This has got to be frustrating for you.
Well, it's just, you know, a crank in the armor right now. We have to make sure that we stay on Bill and, you know, wait for him to make a mistake. He looks awfully sharp. Obviously, we're getting a lot of shots that are right into his chest right now, giving him a lot of confidence. But, you know, we have to make sure we stay in there, and on a world-class goaltender like this, you got to keep peppering him and just wait for him to make a mistake. And you make a good point about shots at Ranford. In Game 1, the goal you scored on the nifty setup by Larmer and the other, and then Steve's goal, his first, was a good chance. What about Steve Larmer? You both broke camp August 1st for Canada Cup. He seemed to have a slower year by his standards. What do you think's got him going? Well, I think just the overall team effort that we've been having the whole playoffs, the way we're playing, the intensity that we're playing at. If everybody goes, it seems, you know, the guys that haven't been going seem to pick it up a little bit. And, you know, it's not that Larms hasn't been trying or that he's not working. It's just he hasn't been getting the breaks, and, you know, he's been a little bit unlucky. But, you know, Larmer, he's one of the best players in the league, one of the most underrated, and, you know, you can't keep him tied down for too long. This long year seems to really have agreed with you with a 50-plus goal season and a great playoff. How do you feel? I feel good. You know, we had a long break after the sweep of Detroit, and, you know, it got us a chance to relax, go out and play a little golf and get our mind away from hockey a little bit. And I think it did me a lot of good just to relax and heal up the wounds and get back at her. Stéphane Matteau is your buddy from Hull in Major Junior, but what's the difference between Stéphane Matteau on the line and Michel Goulet? I think Michel's a little bit more talented. I think Steph's more of a corner and a grinder, and he's the one that digs the puck out of the corners for you and creates the scoring opportunities, whereas Michel, I think, will get you a few more goals and you know, adds a little bit more creativity out there. How do you explain the Hawks winning 8 in a row, and you should be winning tonight, were not for the goaltender coming up big at the other end? Well, you know, just hard work and persistency. You know, we're trying to raise our game to a new level every single game, and we're working extremely hard, and, you know, we need good goaltending, obviously, and good defense, and that's what we're trying to strive on. Did you learn anything from last year against Minnesota that you're trying to apply this season? Well, obviously, the penalty factor. You know, we're trying to stay very, you know, low-key. We're not trying to get too many penalties. We're staying disciplined, and we have to make sure that we... Tough to talk with Don Sherry yelling at you. Go ahead, say I know what you're saying. That's good. That's say hi to Mom and Dad. We only got a few seconds here. Hi, Mom. We're going to get you in this period. There you go. The whole family back home in Massachusetts tuning in to see Jeremy Roenick. His Hawks down a goal. Thank you, Jeremy. Need one good period here in Chicago to go home even, and with home ice advantage, they lead. Our third period action is next.
conference final in a game apiece.
Well, after 2 periods, the Oilers 5 chances, the Hawks 14. The Oilers only got 1 that period. Look at the shoot-ins by the Hawks, 27. A lot of them went offside. 9 recoveries. Sutter won 9 of 10 face-offs in the Oilers zone that period. Chelios well on the way to 35 minutes now by the look of it, or close to it. Turnovers created by the Hawks, forechecking 5 in the second period. And Ted Green got Tikkanen out against Roenick head-to-head for 5 shifts in the second period. The main score is 2-1. The Oilers with 20 minutes to go. Not very often can you come up, go to your team and say, boys, if you'll play 20 good minutes, we can get out of here with a win. But that's exactly what Ted Green's Oilers can do.
Kyber goes back after it with Sutter on top of him. The toe in there as well. He's bumped by Nichols. So continuing to battle, trying to get it free. Flips it to the other side. Graham to Sutter, who has lost his stick. He kicks it to Graham. Graham to Matteau. Sutter has to go for a new stick as it comes back to Chelios. Chelios at the line, slips it in to Roenick, who has replaced Sutter. Roenick back to the bench, dodges a check. Bumped along the boards by Dan Foose. Matteau trying to free it. Graham in there as well. It is centered, but there's nobody there. It's banked off the boards and out with Steve Smith going back after it. Smith quickly to Roenick. Roenick shoots it in. Takes a bump from Kyber in the process. Kevin Lowe works his way up to the line. Gets it out to center ice. It's fired back in by Kravchuk. Edmonton leading 2-1. First period goals by Semenoff and Nichols. With Marmer scoring on the power play for Chicago. No scoring in the second period. And we have played 1 minute and 30 seconds of the third with an offside call. Tonight's game is coming to you from Chicago. Harry, you have to admire the way Kevin Lowe is playing despite a variety of hurts that kept him out of the first couple of games against Los Angeles.
I've always admired the way Kevin Lowe's played, hurt or not. You know, if they could ever win the Stanley Cup again in Edmonton, that would be 6 for him. That would tie him with Larry Robinson for the most Stanley Cups among active NHL players.
13 consecutive playoff seasons. He's been in postseason activity ever since he was the #1 draft choice of the Edmonton Oilers in their inaugural year in the National Hockey League. Noonan got it to the line, but not out. Noonan tries again. This time he clears. Richardson races back after it. Lynn banks it off the glass. A race for the puck. Brown got there just ahead of Semenoff. Kravchuk starts out from his own zone. A pass for Gilbert. He missed a move to pass. Richardson ahead to Semenoff. Semenoff takes a shot. It was partially deflected by Kravchuk.
The Oilers only 8 shots on goal. Only 2 players have more than 1, and 13 skaters don't have any.
Buchberger gets a shot on goal, and Belfer makes the save. 17:31 left in the third. 2-1 Edmonton leads.
When this game was Well, 1971, May 18th, the Hawks lost 3-2 in Game 7 to lose the Stanley Cup after leading the series 3-2. Remember that long shot from center ice by Jacques Lemaire to beat Tony Esposito, which was the turning point in the game. Right here at the Chicago Stadium.
Tony Esposito, one of 4 ex-Hawks who have had their sweaters retired. Glenn Hall, Mr. Goalie in his days with Chicago, Bobby Hull and Stan Mikita the others, along with, of course, Tony Esposito.
Not many players have had their sweaters retired in more than one NHL rink. You know, Whit, you're a trivia buff, other than obviously Bobby Hull in Winnipeg and Chicago. I'll give you a few seconds to see if you can tell me if there are any others.
Wouldn't be another number 9 by any chance, would it?
Gordie Howe, I suggest that every rink put Gordie Howe's sweater up. He was good in them all.
Going back after it is Dave Manson. He takes a bump from Dirk Graham. Kept in at the line. Now Smith getting set, fakes the shot. Buchberger had dropped in front of it. Then Buchberger got up and recovered to block Smith's second attempt at flipping it towards the net.
Well, when we say the Oilers have been outplayed, we really mean outplayed offensively. Defensively, they haven't been too bad at all, led by Ranford. But how long can you go without creating any chances, stopping all the chances the other team comes up with?
Buchberger, an injured player, and a penalty coming up against the Chicago Blackhawks, I believe, as Buchberger very slowly gets up and starts skating off towards the bench. 16:26 remains in the period.
Interference.
Blackhawk penalty number 26, Jocelyn Lemieux, 2 minutes of interference at 3:34. Blackhawk penalty Lemieux, 2 minutes of interference at 3:34.
Mike Keenan testing the patience of one of his players. He has an interesting philosophy on penalties. He says only 3 reasons to ever take a penalty. 1, to prevent a goal. 2, if you can go to the penalty box with a player from the opposing team of equal or superior ability. 3, to go the aid of a teammate. Another objective, he says, keep your own and opposition penalties in a game where a lot are called close to equal. The playoff balance coming into tonight, Chicago had 72 power plays for and had to kill 60 opposing power plays for a +12. So his philosophy seems to be working.
Chelios. And as you suggested at the start of the period, looks like he will easily hit 31, 32, maybe even 35 minutes, depending on what happens in the 3rd period. And that is becoming a normal workload for the veteran defenseman. Fired down the ice by Steve Smith.
Now remember, the Hawks, more than any other team in the league possibly, like to go for the short-handed goal. They don't just try and kill the penalty. They try and kill the opponents when they have a power play.
Nichols with a shot right on. Smith flips it around the boards for Dirk Graham. He takes his time, picks an opening. Tikkanen knocks the puck down. Moves it across to Don Foose. Tikkanen shoots it in. Balfour drops it back to the net for Chelios. He reverses his path and attempting to come out, and then Smith's clearing attempt bounces off Dan Foose, and Balfour had to glove it at the side of the net.
Well, that's a Tikkanen, I thought, on that play with the power play. Wasted a shoot-in opportunity. If you lob it around the boards and let the goalie get it, like you know Balfour's going to, he's going to stop it and deal it off to one of his defensemen. And he did just that. How to get it up on the glass when you're going to shoot it in. Now here's the shoot-in. He knows he's waiting now for his forecheckers to get going, but a nice, easy one around the boards to Balfour. He gets it, dumps it to Chelios, passes it up to his partner, and out they go.
Maybe Ted Green should consider giving Tikkanen a shadowing job on Roenick in this game because he suggested during the Los Angeles series that Tikkanen seems to perform best when he has a specific assignment. Here's Sutter with a shot. Kick to the corner by Ranford. Hansen throws it behind the net. Graham gets to it first. Graham to the point. Kravchuk shoots. Saved by Ranford. Heath Brown tried to flip it in. It hit the linesman. Mellanby has it. Mellanby loses it. Larmer shoots it in. 23 seconds remaining in the penalty to Lemieux. Kyber for Jelena. To Klima, but the pass was behind him and he was offside.
Well, it's a good thing for the Chicago Blackhawks that that pass was a little behind Klima. He had a bit of an angle and a bit of a step on the right defensive for the Hawks. He couldn't complete the play because of the offside. Here's some careless play in the Hawks zone, or in the Oilers zone, when the Hawks are killing a penalty, and Bill Ranford has to make the best stop at either end on this power play that has only 13 seconds left in it for the Oilers. One thing about there's Mellanby. We saw him get hit in the foot in the first period, and on our shot at the end of the second period, we saw him limping as he came down the stairs, and that seems to have been aggravated as he has having a tough time getting to the dressing room. Scott Mellanby.
Fired out. Flynn having some problems trying to control it along the boards. It's brought in and contacted with a high stick, resulting in the whistle with 2 seconds remaining in the penalty. Brian Noonan had quite a streak back in December. He scored 7 consecutive goals for the Blackhawks, 3 against Winnipeg on the 27th of December and 4 against the Red Wings on the 29th of December.
That record may stand for a while when you think of it. 7 straight goals for the Chicago Blackhawks. Played most of last year in the International League for Indianapolis. Now the fans here trying to charge up the Hawks to see if they can get a goal. 14:28 to go, 2-1 Oilers. 2 seconds left in Jocelyn Lemieux's penalty.
Ron Lowe was saying the noisy Chicago Stadium crowd is a problem at the start of a hockey game in communicating with Kevin Primo upstairs watching from the press box and even in shouting instructions to the players. But early in the first, they took the crowd out of the game. Here's Smith moving in. He can't go all the way. Roenick gains control. Leaves it for Goulet. Larmer in the corner. Back to the point to Chelios. Chelios for Goulet. In front to Larmer. He scores!
That's one of the very few times that Ted Green could not get Muni and Lowe out against Roenick. It was Brian Glynn. They changed on the fly and they couldn't make the change. And right here, Kevin Lowe can't contain Larmer, who goes to the net and backhands it in. Lowe complaining to the referee about a penalty. Brian Glynn sprawling to try and stop the pass across. Larmer was there to put it in, his 8th goal of the playoff. And now the fans are in the game again.
Steve Larmer's 4th goal of this series. He had 2 goals and 2 assists in game 1, and he has scored both Chicago goals tonight. 13:46 remaining in the third. The game is tied at 2. Chicago leading the series 1-0. I thought there could have been a penalty out there. The guy coming out, he's dumped to try and make the play.
I didn't see that.
Chelios kept it in at the point. I think that's what Lowe was complaining to Fraser about. Hansen shoots it out. It hit a Chicago player, and Murphy tried to come in, but was unsuccessful. He steals it, he shoots, and there's a penalty coming up. Murphy is going to get a tripping call. He couldn't hear the whistle of Kerry Fraser with the noise here in Chicago Stadium. Took the shot, draws the penalty with 13:30 remaining in the third.
Unbelievable how late that call was. I mean, it was a trip.
Joe Murphy, 2 minutes for tripping at 6:30. Edmonton penalty Murphy, 2 minutes for tripping at 6:30.
Joe Murphy gets a tripping penalty at 6:30 of the third period with the score tied 2-2. And the Hawks get a chance to go ahead on the power play. A very late call. It was a trip, there's no doubt about that. Now watch how long it takes until this play's called. There's the trip. Now Murphy will get the puck and play at the penalty hasn't been called yet, or the whistle would have gone. It still hasn't been called. And now it's called well after the stop. Ted Green can't believe Murphy missed and finds it tougher to believe that he got a penalty.
So the Blackhawks are on the power play. Larmer tied it at 5:59 from Goulet and Chelios, and Chelios leads the attack as the Blackhawks attempt to take the lead for the first time. Chelios races in from the point. Oh, tried to cut him off. He anticipated. Now Smith has it at the point. He throws it into the corner for Sutter. Back to the net. Roenick takes a hit, gets it to the line to Smith, over to Chelios. There's his shot, knocked down in front, and fired the length of the ice by Bookberger.
Well, the Hawks are going to be tough to contend with now. And the Oilers have got to go on the offense a little bit.
Tikana lost control of it. He's forced back by Noonan. Then he finds an opening, and he fires it down the ice with 57 seconds remaining in the penalty to Murphy. Goulet trying to skate away from Tikkanen is knocked down. The puck is loose. Stefan Matteau gets control. Goulet at the side of the net. Back to the point, over to Kravchuk. There's a shot, save, rebound, and it's cleared to the boards by Glynn, and then banked off the glass and up. Dave Brown will drive it in. Goulet attempting to pick it up, lets it go to the line. Now to Kravchuk. Kravchuk shoots, it goes wide. Goulet gets it. Back to the line. Dave Brown fakes the shot. To Goulet, back to Brown. And he couldn't keep it onside. 10 seconds remaining in the penalty.
Well, the Oilers doing a good job of killing penalties. They've almost got through the 8th minor penalty. They've given up 1 goal. And when you have to kill that many penalties off, it really takes it out of the players that you're using in this specific situation. And here's what Ranford's looking at. The Oilers have done a pretty good job tonight at getting people out of the way in front of the net so Ranford can see the point shots. There's another one. You see, he saw the whole shot. He had to make a bit of an acrobatic stop on the rebound, but at least he got a chance to look at the shot from the point. And he's played a letter-perfect game tonight. Ted looks like he's going to grab some guy by the throat until he turns blue. I mean the guy, not Ted.
35-10. The shots on goal advantage for the Chicago Blackhawks. The game is tied at 2. And that will kill off the penalty to Murphy. He's back on the ice as Chelios fires it in. The puck deflects off the glass and into the crowd. 11:22 remains in the third period in a game that is tied. thinking the same if it goes to overtime.
Right in the bucket. Oh, a quad split. Well, Mike Keenan, a long time for his Hawks to tie it up. 11:22 for Mike's team to get the winner. The Oilers, who have mustered very little in the way of offense, are now faced, if they want to win this game, with creating enough to get at least one goal.
This is the 4th time that Mike Keenan has faced the Oilers in postseason play. Twice he went against the Oilers when he was the coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. Once as coach of the Blackhawks. Murphy bumped by Graham at center ice. And they finally tie it up for a face-off with 11 minutes remaining in the 3rd.
Well, the pipeline together again. Not very often tonight have they been together. They've had really a fine playoff, although they haven't done a lot in this series. They have 55 combined points, 21 of them goals. Now, Ted Green wants them to just add one more to that total, just one. And they've faced a variety of checkers. Keenan wants to get Roenick out there, and he puts Michel Goulet back on left wing. The spot he occupied till he got hurt and was taken over and well done by Stéphane Matteau.
Well, Keenan said at the start of game 1 that one thing he wouldn't mind doing as far as a matchup was concerned is strength against strength.
And Ted Green, while changing on the fly, has replaced Nichols with Tikkanen. So he likes this matchup, but he wants Tikkanen out there, not Bernie Nichols.
Manson, who can fire the puck, drills it in and then runs into Belfour. And Belfour is protesting to referee Carey Fraser. And his complaints fall upon deaf ears.
Well, Belfour is a goalie who wanders a lot, and I think has to come to realize he's going to get stroked the odd time.
Crab truck shoot in. Noonan having problems along the boards, trying to pick it up as Nichols is all over him. Hudson comes in as well, and they succeed in holding it for a face-off.
Well, David Manson decided to give Belfour a little clip as he was going by him. And here's what Belfour complained about. But look where he is. He's out of the net. He handles the puck. And Manson just gives him a little tap as if he was his teammate at one time. And Belfour gives a few words of encouragement to Carey Fraser, but can't change his mind. 10 shots. We wonder whether this guy is warmed up at all or not.
He only had 19 shots in game 1. Ed Belfour, I'm sorry, Harry, Ed Belfour, who may be one of the best conditioned of all goaltenders in the NHL. He's a triathlete. Hasn't had a great deal of work in either game in this series.
I wonder if after the game he'll run down to Lake Michigan, swim across, grab a bike.
This neighborhood.
Well, you have to run a little faster, grab a bike and pedal back to the Chicago Stadium for the workout that he doesn't seem to be getting tonight. Well, this guy has got a workout. He'll have to lie in a great big barrel of ice to cool down after this one. I'm glad he didn't practice yesterday. That was a great coaching move.
Jocelyn Lemieux against Craig McTavish in the face-off circle to the left of Ranford. Gilbert gets the puck. Looks for someone to give it to. Goes to the point. Brown's long shot is wide up front. And Lemieux couldn't get his stick on it as Ranford was momentarily out of position.
Well, shots that come from the point that hit below the yellow baseboard on the boards come out as fast as they go in. And Belfour nearly got hit with the one off the end of the rink, and that might have gone in.
Buckberger with a backhand shot. And is it in? McTavish has knocked it in.
No, it didn't go in, Don. The referee's right there. It slid across the net, nearly went in, and then was knocked back across the net the other way and nearly went in. So Belfour's a little fortunate on it. Have a look at it here. Buckberger's trying to cut around the defenseman, and Belfour misses that shot. Now watch where it goes. Right across about 4 inches outside. In come the Oilers. No angle. And it'll now travel all the way across the line right to Balfour.
Very close. But it stayed right on the line, or at least appeared to.
Well, there's Balfour. He missed this one. This puck should have gone in. He had no idea where it is now. And Mark Land shoots it across, and McTavish can't get his stick on it. It would have been the shortest goal he'd ever scored, but he can't get his stick on it. And here's the shot I was talking about. Off the baseboard, right out like a pool shot. Lemieux's looking for it, but it's in his feet. Ranford has no idea where it is, but it didn't go in. So the goalies at either end had a little luck going for him there.
Jelena flips it in. Kravchuk moves it up along the boards for Goulet. Rink wide pass. Larmer for Goulet. Goulet is knocked down, and Klima picks up the loose puck. Klima throws it across ice to Kevin Lowe. Lowe, trying to move it along the boards, is checked by Roenick. Tikkanen comes back to pick it up. Roenick tries to get on top of him, and he leaves it there for Craig Munich. Now it's fired out of the zone. Back after it goes Kravchuk. Alfred will tee it up for his defenseman. Quickly he moves it ahead to Chelios. He tries to catch the Oilers on a chain. Matteau is out there with Captain Dirk Graham. He takes Jelena in against the boards. Graham goes over as well, but the Oilers come up with the puck. 8:28 remaining in the third. Murphy gets to the line. Murphy, a backhand shot. Steered to the corner by Balfour. Chelios frees the puck for Dirk Graham. Head to Sutter. Back to Graham. Graham in across the line, leaves it for Chelios. His shot is blocked by McIver. Smith at the other side, flips it to the corner to Gilbert. Gilbert tried to get it back to him, and it bounced off Manson. Out of play. 7:59 remains in the third, with the game tied at 2. I thought McTavish had knocked that sucker in.
Couldn't. I think the guy had a hold of his stick from behind there. He couldn't get it.
Shots. .36-12, the shots on goal favoring the Hawks, but in this third period it's 5-4. Chicago out shooting the Oilers. Both teams have had some scoring opportunities since Larmer tied the game at 2. Bill Ranford with a brilliant second period, making 18 saves as the Hawks applied all sorts of pressure. Jocelyn Lemieux at the back of the net. Kevin Lowe has 2 Hawks run into him, Lemieux and Hudson. McTavish takes a hit along the boards as Hudson battles to keep it in the zone. And then in the center ice area, Lemieux was knocked down by McTavish. Here's Buchberger working his way in. Can't get away from Kravchuk. Lemieux has it. Noonan chips it in. Hudson goes after it. Lemieux in front of the net. And as he reached for the puck, Ranford kicked it out. Marchment moves it ahead to Roenick. He shoots it in and takes the bump from Tikkanen. Larmer hit by Richardson along the boards. Goulet gets the puck loose. Goulet trying to move out front. He's knocked down. And Richardson feeds it ahead to Klima. Klima against Marchment. Klima trying to work through, and Steve Smith got back to knock the puck away from him. It's loose in front of the net. And finally it rolls out across the line. Larmer. Goulet, his shot goes wide. Chelios coming in from the point. Moves out in front of the net, a backhand shot. And with Roenick in front of the goal, Ranford makes the save. Manson finally relieves the pressure by dumping it to center ice. Now Klima steals it from Smith. Tikkanen goes for the net, but Smith managed to recover. That's twice in this third period that Steve Smith has made a good defensive move. Sutter trying to work in against McIver. Lost the puck. Manson plays it around the boards and out.
Now this tempo of this game is picked up. The best 8 minutes, but they're going to be the last 8 minutes, or perhaps the last before overtime.
6 minutes remaining as Muni goes back after it. An icing call against Chicago. Game tied at 2 late in the third. Yeah.
Well, maybe the best skater for the Oilers tonight has been Craig McTavish. He's been out there to kill most of their penalties, and he seems to have the puck, and he gives Lemieux a little massage here as he goes by. And as they go up the ice close to the bench, he'll give Lemieux another one right there with an elbow right in the kisser.
That's probably a carryover from the earlier incident between the two in the second period. Chelios for Graham. He gets to center and shoots it in. Glynn got there ahead of Sutter. Played up along the boards, but not out. Centering attempt. Out of the reach of Mateau. Now Chelios at the line, lost control of it. Nichols was trying to hit Dan Foose. The pass was ahead of him. Graham steps into Richardson and knocks him down directly in front of the Edmonton bench. Dan Foose is stopped at the blue line. And it's a delayed offside call against the Oilers. Bert Graham, the captain of the team, has played a very physical hockey game for Chicago.
Well, he gives you a little bit of everything. He won the Selke Trophy last year, so he's a great defensive player, obviously. He's been a 30-goal scorer in the league. Mike Keenan uses him in all kinds of difficult situations. If the game's rough, he can play tough. And here's a good example of an excellent body check he threw on Luke Richardson. Kind of an all-around guy that when you're coaching and you're standing behind him, how many times does Mike Keenan think, I need a guy I can trust, and taps Graham on the back?
Kravchuk trying to go along the boards, taken out of the play by Manson. And quickly McTavish starts back. Kravchuk ties him up, the puck loose in the corner. Brown trying to clear, McIver keeps it in. McTavish back to the net with Lamb. Lamb comes out front, tried to set up Footbrugger, he was checked. Manson's attempted shoot-in deflects off a stick and into the crowd.
The Oilers are coming up with some forechecking and a little bit of offense. They haven't scored this period, but they've had many more opportunities to score. Whether they got them on the net or not remains another thing. There's a guy who's played a real good game tonight, too, for the Oilers, David Manson. He's been nasty, but in an intelligent fashion. Didn't accuse him of that when he was a Hawk very often. And here he is giving Igor Kravchuk one of those straight arms that he's becoming famous for.
They talk about the strength of Dave Manson. Norm McIver was saying that a lot of forwards don't like to go down this side of the ice. And Manson also has a big shot. Although he's going to be called for icing with that one that misses the net and will bring the faceoff back into the Edmonton zone.
Manson wanted a change. I think he wanted to take a little bit off that as he dumped it from just inside his own blue line, the length of the ice. Talking about good performers, Steve Smith has been a strong one again tonight. Ted Green can just smell the larceny in a victory here if his team can score.
his own net. Eikanen let it go to Klima. Klima lets the shot go. Alfred made the save. And Roenick was back to scoop it up, and then he flicked it over the glass and out of play.
A tricky little shot by Peter Klima. He faked the shot and then started outside the defenseman. And it's not an easy thing to do. There's the fake, and then just as you're starting to go around the defenseman, you shoot it back to the side of the goaltender you're coming from in hopes that he's moving left and you're trying to beat him on the right. But he couldn't fool Balfour. Not a bad idea by Peter Klima.
This isn't a record for the Blackhawks, but 13 shots is equal to the fewest the Hawks have ever allowed in a playoff game. Back in 1973 against St. Louis, they limited the Blues to only 13 shots. The Oilers now have 13.
The score wasn't 2-2 with 4:24 to go in that game, I don't think.
Kevin Lowe. In his own zone, taking his time. Tried to hit Klima, breaking down the right side. It was beyond his reach. And once again, it's icing against the Oilers. 4:05 remains in the game.
Well, we all know that when you get down to this much time left, you're almost into an overtime situation. Let's have a look at the scoring leaders in the National Hockey League 92 playoffs. Murphy and Francis, you can make a little money if you bet those two guys are going to lead this scoring into the third round. Mario Lemieux hasn't played much, or obviously he'd be leading it. Dominated by Pittsburgh and the Oilers, the top 6 scorers in the playoffs of 92.
But I think Mike Keenan is happy that he has the balance scoring from his team that he has received thus far in postseason play. Roenick with Goulet and Larmer. Chelios and Smith back in the points.
Larmer has a real quick shot, and he could just flick it from there if Roenick can win the draw about 3 feet behind him, and he tries to with his foot.
Skated out by Dan Foose with Murphy. Smith is taken in against the boards by Murphy. Puck flipped up to the line. Roenick tied up his man. Larmer has the puck. Goulet goes for the net, and Larmer hit the side of the net. Larmer gets it again. There's a shot. He scores!
On the original chance before the goal, Craig Muni got caught pinching at the Hawk blue line. And Goulet was knocked a little silly, or is it, yes, Goulet was knocked a little silly on the play as he put it in. Here's the 2-on-1 I'm talking about. It hits the side of the net. And then a shot right here by Larmer is tipped in by Michel Goulet as he crosses in front of the net, being taken down by Craig Muni, who got back into the zone. Ranford had no chance. Or was it Larmer that scored? I think they'll change that and give it to Goulet, but Larmer has a chance to add to his hat collection, as there must be 100 hats on the ice. And they're daring the scorer not to change the goal now. Goulet, who was knocked down by Muni as the puck went in, I think it went in off Goulet's stick or his skate. But they gave the goal to Larmer, and the hats are coming out of the Chicago Stadium. It hit somebody.
Or did it go off Craig Muni's stick?
Right. Oh, they gave it to Michel Goulet. Now the fans want those hats back, Don. And the ushers have got to take them back and find the guys that threw them out, thinking Larmer had the hat trick.
Goulet from Larmer and Chelios at 16-19. And the Chicago Blackhawks have a 3-2 lead, and as the fans celebrate, we will have a delay as the maintenance crew at Chicago Stadium clear the hats off the ice that the fans threw out, thinking that the goal had gone to Steve Larmer.
Michel Goulet, remember him? He got clipped in the face earlier in the game. Glenn Sather thought that his Oilers might be able to pull this off. They have 3 minutes and 41 seconds to try and tie it up. But a dangerous pinch by Craig Muni started to play. I'll give Craig credit. He got back after the original 2-on-1. Tried his best on Michel Goulet. Goulet, a natural goal scorer, and they can all score, these kind of guys, whether they're on the ice or not. He's taking a whiff of the smelling salts here. If you've ever had a little bit of horseradish that's too hot, it roars through your nasal passages. You know how Goulet's feeling. It wakes you up.
We had a memorable shot, I'm sure many Hockey Night Canada viewers will recall, in 1990 in the playoff series involving Chicago and Edmonton, where Denny Savard got the whiff of the smelling salts in the bench. Here's Gilbert with a shot and the save by Ranford. Chelios lets the shot go, knocked down in front of the net. Loose puck picked up by Land. Land shoots it in. Belfour clears it to Gilbert. He banks it off the boards and out. 3:10 remaining. Brookberger knocked down, coming in across the line, and he is still down. Very slow in getting up.
Well, that's what the Hawks do well. That's what the Oilers have done a little better tonight. They interfere with the forecheckers without the puck that are trying to get to the puck after the shoot-in. And here's a good example right here. See the Hawk player get right in front of Brookberger here. And it did it a little too dramatically, perhaps. The play was offside, so there was no call on it. There's a good stop right here by Ranford on Gilbert with his right foot. And Bill Ranford has been heroic in what might be a losing cause for the Oilers with 3:05 to go. 42-14 the shots in favor of the Hawks, 3-2 in favor of Chicago. And should Chicago hang on to this lead, the Oilers will be faced to win 4 games of the last 5 to advance to the Stanley Cup Finals. Let's call over.
Mateau gets it. Score!
Stefan Mateau takes advantage of Brian Glynn falling here as he's trying to get to the puck as it comes off the boards after the shoot-in. And before Glynn can get back in the play, Stefan Mateau beats Bill Ranford to put this game in the freezer for the Chicago Blackhawks. A bad and unfortunate break for the Oilers. Brian Glynn on that play.
Well, had the Edmonton Oilers left Chicago with the victory, I think they may have changed Bill Ranford's nickname to Jesse, because with 43 saves, he has kept the Oilers in this hockey game. Chicago with 3 third-period goals. Mateau from Chelios and Smith making it 4-2. And now Mateau has it along the boards. Moves it ahead to Sutter. He can't get out. Sutter reverses it. At the line, Richardson keeps it in. Murphy checks. Back of the net. Gives it to Nichols. Or Danfus. He throws it around the other side. Murphy and Smith battle and they wind up on top of the puck. With 2:19 remaining in the third period.
Well, the Oilers a little too late trying to win this game in the third period after getting off to a 2-0 and a 2-1 lead and holding it for a long time. But the avalanche was just too big and it rumbled for too long for Ted Green's Oilers to stand in the way of all those Hawk boulders that were rolling down the hill. And it looks like the Oilers will have to win them both back in Edmonton to even this series up and have a 5th game back here.
Well, as the Oiler players said after their opening game loss 8-2, they haven't changed the rules. You still have to win 4 to win the series. They felt, however, that they could bounce back and win game 2. Larmer taken in against the boards by Manson. 2 minutes remaining in the game. Semenoff is checked. Goulet has it. Save. Loose puck in front, and McIver picks up a rebound and works his way to center. To Klima. He tried to deflect it to Semenoff. It was intercepted. And there's a shoot in with the Blackhawks making a complete change as McIver goes rink wide with it. Heikkinen dumps it in. 1:30 remaining. Chelios back for Chicago. 4-2. The Blackhawks leading. Gilbert hit in the neutral zone. He's hurt. And finally the whistle goes as the Chicago player has trouble getting to his knees. He appears to be in considerable pain.
Craig Gilbert was hit by Craig Muni. Muni has a reputation around the National League of being a low hitter or a near. And we see it right there. Craig Muni's left knee against Greg Gilbert's left knee, and Gilbert doesn't get up. It wasn't a hard hit, but when 2 knees hit each other, see the left knee now of Muni sticking right out and whack right on the knee of Greg Gilbert.
Gilbert missed the final 22 games of the regular season because of an ankle and a knee problem. So this could be a recurrence.
A real solid Chicago Blackhawks forward who's playing here in the last minute, 20 seconds. He's a defensive forward for the most part. But I hate to see that when all his weight was on his left knee when it collided with the left knee of Muni. And you can see Gilbert in considerable pain as he's going down the stairs to the Chicago Blackhawk dressing room. When you've had a knee injury as recently as he has, he knows exactly what the problem is. He's having more trouble as the stairs get longer.
Nichols is checked at center ice. Now the puck is picked up by Danfus. Danfus working to the front, tied up by Chelios. And back comes Steve Smith.
1 minute to play in the 3rd period.
He gets to the line, shoots it towards the net as we move into the final minute. And the fans at Chicago Stadium applaud their heroes as Steve Smith steps into Bernie Nichols, and then the 2 of them exchange punches, and the penalty is coming up. The shot fired at the empty net. And finally the whistle goes, and now Roenick takes exception to something Richardson said or did. Chelios now trying to intervene as Bateau and Nichols are arguing along the boards. Now Roenick is trying to get back at Richardson.
David Manson and Dirk Graham fencing. And this game, this series has been free from fights, but I don't know how long that's going to last. Harry Fraser's going to give a couple of penalties here. I am sure. 38 seconds to go. And Fraser is sorting the penalties out while the linesmen are sorting the combatants out. Jeremy Roenick will get a bit of an early start at the refreshments in the Hawk dressing room, as will Luke Richardson. And here's how it began. It all began with a joust here between Nichols and Smith inside the Hawk blue line. Neither one of those punches ended up meaning much. But that started the frayed tempers, and it finished with a bit of a bout, if you could call it that, between Richardson and Roenick. One of Roenick's characteristics is that he's got a temper, and we're getting a good example of it right here.
Well, he threw a pretty good right hand at Richardson, but missed with the swing. Green had pulled his goaltender, Bill Ranford, when that scrimmage was taking place along the boards involving Nichols and Smith. And the delayed penalty call, the Hawks fired the puck towards the vacant Edmonton net, and it hit the side of the net. Now Ranford comes back out. 44 saves he has made tonight. And,
I don't care where this game's played, Don. Chicago, Edmonton, or a neutral site. The best player on the ice for either team has been Bill Ranford.
So you're suggesting that he'll be the #1 star?
I'm voting for him, and I know my vote doesn't count as much as yours because I'm not as old as you, but I'm voting for Ranford. I don't care what anybody else says. It would be 8 or 9 to 2 if it wasn't for him.
Smith with a shot, Ranford to save. Chicago with a power play. 18.4 seconds remaining in the game. Nichols and Richardson each got 2 minutes for roughing. And Roenick also got a 2-minute roughing penalty.
Well, another game, Don, no matter how you look at it, where the Chicago Blackhawks big guns, Larmer, Roenick, Goulet, came through in flying colors like they did in Game 1, and the Edmonton big guns, especially members of the pipeline, Don Foose, Bernie Nichols, Joe Murphy, have been held quite silent. And when your best players aren't your best players, it's hard to win a hockey game.
Steve Larmer and Chris Chelios each with a 3-point performance. Chelios, who has the puck, 3 assists. Larmer with 2 goals and an assist. And the Chicago Blackhawks are going to take a 2-0 series lead to Edmonton for Game 3 on Wednesday night. And just as the horn sounds, Kelly Buchberger and Jocelyn Lemieux bumped in the neutral zone. And now referee Kerry Fraser steps in to prevent Dave Manson from becoming involved. And cooler heads prevail as both teams head off to their respective dressing rooms.
Well, it took Mike Keenan's Chicago Blackhawks a long time to win this game. They were about as patient as you can ask them to be when it looked like they'd never get a goal on Bill Ranford. And they finally did and won the game. And 2-0 Hawks as we head north to the Northlands Coliseum.
2-1 Edmonton after 1 period of play, even though Chicago outshot the Oilers 18-3 in the second period. They could not beat Bill Ranford. But in the third period, they managed to score 3 goals, and they win it by a score of 4-2 and take a 2-0 series lead in this Campbell Conference Final back to Edmonton.
Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC was brought to you by Molson Canadian, what beer's all about. By Imperial Oil and Esso Associates, you're on your way with Esso. And by Pepsi, gotta have it.
Franchise first for the Chicago Blackhawks. They've won 9 consecutive games. Michel Goulet igniting the Hawks' third period explosion. They're now 2 victories away from a berth in the Stanley Cup Final 1992 as they win the game this evening on home ice. The Molson 3 stars, as you might expect. Bill Ranford was brilliant in goal all evening for Edmonton and is the first star tonight despite the loss. The second star from the Chicago Blackhawks, 2 goals and an assist, Steve Larmer, and Michel Goulet with the game winner. The Molson third star tonight. Tomorrow evening at 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time, it'll be the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Boston Bruins in Game 2 of the Wales Conference Championship Series. Penguins lead that one 1-0. It's the Hawks up 2-0 in the Campbell Conference Final on the strength of this evening's victory 4-2 over the Edmonton Oilers. On behalf of all of us, thanks for watching tonight's telecast from Chicago, and good night.